You. Ooh la la. I mean, really, in the Paris Review. So really just very
And I've
talented.
also written buck slips, buy this piece of crap now.
A writer with no pretensions, and a writer that you can look at a sentence and say, chuck it away, cut it in half. It's really, it's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay, Gabi Coatsworth from England, works with Ina, and is a more recent writer, I think. But one of my questions to you tonight, Gabi, is I think that you have come fairly recently to writing, but you have won prizes and been published all over the place. So my question is about your submissions process. You know, how do you go about that, and how it seems like every time you send it out, you get something from it, which is not my experience, I have to say. I used to work on the basis of sending out 100 times, one story 100 times before I would consider that it wasn't good enough to be published. So, how do you do it? Tell us about your story and then tell us about your submitting.
Well, hello everybody. My story is about how I set fire to my little friend Elaine when I was, I don't know, about 7 or 8. And I was a very adventurous child. I liked to play outside, and I had 4 sisters, and I liked to organize them. And this particular day I wanted to do cowboys and Indians. Sorry to be not politically correct, but they were the Indians and I was the cowboy, but I needed someone that I could rescue. So I went along the street to get Graham, who was the only guy in the street, to come and be a cowboy with me, and he wasn't there. There was only his soppy sister, Elaine. So I'm not going to give away the ending. You'll have to read it to find out what happened next. Submitting, you know, it's that same thing that means giving up, but you mustn't give up with submitting. I started by submitting to literary journals and to magazines all over the place, and I could paper the walls with the stuff that said, you know, just pro forma things that said, thank you, go away. And then I started getting ones that said, well, you do have to go away, but we actually quite liked this bit. Do send us something else. And all this was going on by snail mail. But over the last few years, as you all know, there's an enormous amount of publishing that goes on online. And it makes it so incredibly easy to submit things that you can submit something every day and get it published very frequently. And once you've got some things published, people find out a little bit about you, they start looking for you around the web. And one of the things that I like about writing is not so much being rich and famous, which I'm not, but getting a response from people. Somebody to say, oh, that was interesting, or you have to be kidding. But that's what I get out of writing, and why I like to send stuff out and see where it sticks. How many times a week?
Do you do it on a particular day? Or?
No, I don't do it on a particular day. What I do is, in addition to writing short stories and memoir pieces, I write a blog or 2. And so, as I'm doing that, I'm weaving around the web and looking for things that are of interest to me. And when I find a magazine, and there are a number of them online, I'll find out whether they've got something that they would like to that I can submit that suits them. That's very important. And if I do, and the thing fits, I send it in. I don't worry too much about having to do it on a regular frequency, because I have done that in the past, and it is exhausting and can be rather discouraging to get all the go-away slips. But you don't get so much of that on the web. For some reason, they seem to want the material. So be brave, send it out. The worst that can happen is they'll say, go away until next time.
And I would just like to point out that at echook we don't send rejection letters. We think it's a bit like dating, you know, if you hear, then you know. And if you don't hear, then quite possibly it wasn't a good fit for us. So our next writer is Tricia Tierney.